All right, good morning here. We got a race day rehearsal, so we're going to be going out on a bike ride. I'm pretty much all decked out in everything that I'm going to be wearing. I think the only difference that might change is I might end up getting some wheels. But other than that, I'm wearing everything. I got my kit. I just got my new helmet in, so I'm going to be wearing that. And I got these sleeves. I'll be wearing those as well. And this is very similar terrain to what Lake Placid's going to be. I got 6 hours and 15 minutes on the bike, and I've done this route before, and it was 58 miles, and I did it in 3 hours and 3 minutes, I believe. So I'm going to need an additional 9 minutes, and the pace is supposed to be longer or harder than that. So I don't know how long I'm going to be going for. I might hit 120 miles here. The terrain's going to be very similar to Lake Placid, where I'm going to be hitting over 6,000 feet of elevation gain. So it's going to be really interesting to see what I do. This morning, got my breakfast in. I got 5 eggs, got 4 strips of bacon, and then I also had a peanut butter ball. And then got to practice my race day nutrition as well. So currently, I'm running 3 bottles right now. And then I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to refill. So 3 bottles. Each bottle has 60 grams of maltodextrin, 48 grams of fructose. 2 of the bottles have an electrolyte pack in it. And then when I come back and I get the other 2 bottles, I'm going to fill up one of these bottles, and then I'm going to put another electrolyte pack in it. And then I'm also going to have a Maurten solid bar, 2 solid bars. So the plan is halfway through I'll have one, and then about, I'm going to say half an hour to an hour before I'm done on the bike, I'm going to have the second one, and then about half an hour to an hour, I'm not sure which one I'll do first, I'm going to have a Maurten gel, and then after the bike ride, I got a 40-minute at race pace, race rehearsal, so I'm going to be running right into that. I got my shoes ready, so basically dropping off my bike as quick as possible, put my shoes on and getting right back out on the road. And then the plan for that is just to have a Maurten about 20 to 30 minutes into that run, and then that's it for that. So this is going to be a really tough day, but I think it's going to give me a really good indication on where I sit with with basically everything with racing, because this is going to be a very similar course to what Lake Placid is going to be. So I'll get a really good indication on my pacing, my power, and just how everything looks, how I feel. And then also for the run, there's 1,000 feet of elevation, so I'm basically just going to go out and back, and I'm going to go down the path and hopefully get some good hills in. I'm not sure how many hills I'll be able to get to because it's only going to be 20 minutes out, but I'm going to try and replicate that as much as possible with Lake Placid as well, because I think there's about 1,000 to 1,200 feet of elevation gain there. So going to be heading out on the bike ride here, and hopefully it goes well, but we'll see how it goes. It's a big day ahead of us. We got 7 hours of training, so let's get to it. I've never sweated so much in my life. This helmet just keeps so much in there. It's crazy what ventilation does, but I'm a little bit shy of halfway. I think I'm at 2 hours and 56-ish minutes. The route got messed up. Kind of my fault, kind of the watch's fault. The route overlaps, and it told me to turn again, and I'm like, let's turn them. And I just kept following it, and I was just like, and then I looked, it was like, you got 40 miles left. And I'm like, nah, I should be at like 15 or 20 right now. So then I saw a road that I eventually had to turn down. I'm like, I'm just gonna go down here. So I guess I cut it a bit short, like, I think only like 3-ish miles short though. So I'm gonna have to make up about 30-ish minutes on this next part. So we're gonna head back out. We're only halfway done here. My legs are feeling it quite a bit, but we're gonna get this done. Got our refuel, rehydration, and we got everything in our back. And we're just gonna prepare like it's actual race day. So we're heading back out, getting the last part of the bike in, and we'll probably be hitting close to 120 miles. So let's get it. look like I'm dead right now. I just finished. That was absolutely brutal. Oh my God. That's brutal. I am soaking wet. Got rained on so many times. I'm sweating. I'm dirty. But I think I learned so much from that. I'm gonna go over that, but first, I'm gonna get showered up, put on some comfy clothes, because I'm dead right now, as you can tell. So, all right, all cleaned up here. Got everything written down, stuff that I learned, stuff that I thought about throughout the ride. And it was just a tough ride. I don't know if I need rest recovery or something like that. This is supposed to be a recovery week, and I'm out here doing this, but yeah, it was a rough ride. So the one thing that I forgot to mention before was on Wednesday, so today's Saturday. I don't know what happened, but I did a run workout, and my quads, they were in the most pain I've ever been in. And it just hurt to walk. It just hurt to bend them. It hurt to go upstairs, go downstairs. And it took about 2 to 3 days to heal. So I was a little bit worried about that. Honestly, I don't think they were that big of an issue. Maybe it helped, or it was part of the reason why I fatigued, I'd say fairly early. But yeah, I forgot to say that before. And I think I did recover from that issue. Like, they were so bad Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday they started feeling a bit better. So the workout, it didn't get added, so I basically went off fuel. The workout would have had me averaging around 225 watts, and when I look at the watts here, I was at 191 watts, which isn't terrible, which is probably around a decent pace for my actual Ironman. But the workout would have had me at around 225, and it would have kept saying too low, too high, whatever it would have said. I could have put it in, but I'm just not a fan with so many hills going up and down. It's just constantly saying, hey, too much power or too little power, and it's just constantly going up and down. And I was just like, I'm gonna go based off feel completely. So that's pretty much what I did, and it was a bit lower than I guess I was expecting. I was hoping I would be able to push myself a little bit, and like on the inclines, that's part that I did learn a little bit that maybe I didn't learn about, but I thought about, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But on inclines, I tried to push harder there, and I assumed that my power would go up higher, but my normalized power over the whole ride was 207, so there was just a lot of times where I was like getting up, stretching my legs, I was in so much pain. It's just not ideal right now. So that's a little bit about the power, the workout, and going on to the actual helmet. I currently don't have it on me. I wanted to have it here, but I forgot it up there. So I'll get in. I won't have it as a prop, but it's just really hot in the helmet, and it's crazy because I always have my other helmet that has so much ventilation, and I never realized how much that actually helps. And then when I did this, within like the first 10 minutes of this ride, I'm going like straight up this hill, and it's just a nasty hill for maybe like 5-10 minutes, and it's just a climb up, and I started sweating buckets like right away, and I'm like, holy crap, it's so much hotter in here with no like ventilation. And then that's what I realized is when you're climbing and you got this helmet on, you're gonna be sweating a lot more when compared to like when you're actually going really fast, because like you're going uphill, you're using a lot of energy, you're pushing really hard, but there's no wind to like cool you down. So that's what I realized really quickly, is that there's no wind cooling you down, and the helmet just makes you sweat that much more because there's no ventilation coming in. All right, quick interruption in your regularly scheduled program, because I forgot 2 things with the visor and the lens. It would be nice to have a little rag or something so I could like wipe my face with all the sweat, because I'm sweating so much. I don't think I'm actually going to do it, just something that I was thinking about while I was riding. And then the second thing is, I'm not a big accessory guy when I'm on the run. I like to just go out plain, no glasses, no hat, but I think I might have to wear a hat and sunglasses just to cover how dead I actually look, because after this ride and after the run, when I look at that video, it's like, oh my God, I look so dead, and I still didn't even do the swim, and I still had 20 more miles left in the run. So I might be wearing sunglasses on race day just to cover up. Maybe that's why everyone wears sunglasses, just to cover up what they actually look like on the inside or on the outside. So those are a few things that I did forget to mention. That's a little bit about what I learned about that. I got rained on so many times on that second loop. So I think I finished the first loop at about 19.6 miles per hour. And I think overall I finished at 19.4. So I guess my second loop went a little bit slower. We can attribute that to the rain, but I doubt it was that. It was probably just because I was getting a little bit more tired. And then when I look at my power output throughout, I mean, the first looks like 45 minutes. I went out pretty hard, probably way too hard. And then it looks like my last actual half of this, maybe three-fifths of this ride, I actually held a pretty decent overall pace, but the first 45 minutes, it looks like I went out way too hard. So, like I was saying, got rained on so many times on the second loop. I think it rained on me at least 3 times, and the lens on the goggles or the helmet fogged up so bad, and then there was just the raindrops on it, and I could not see a thing. It was at a point where I couldn't even see the road to turn. I looked at my watch and it was like, you got to turn here, and I'm like, I can't even see a road to turn on. So I had to like flip the helmet up to actually like see what was going on and see where the road was. So it got to a point where I could barely even see the road right in front of me, and it was just not safe. So I don't know if it was just no potholes in the road, or I just got really lucky and avoided basically everything at that point. But yeah, the lens just fogged up completely. It had raindrops on it, and I just could barely see. And then one thing that I was saying earlier that I thought about, there's like race strategy and where you can make up the most ground compared to other efforts. And I was thinking that probably those efforts are either leading into when a hill comes, so you're gaining a lot of speed so you can roll into a hill, and then you don't have to exert as much energy on the hill because you're going to be rolling in, you're going to be going faster, and then at the same time exerting more energy on hills because that's maybe an area where you can gain a little bit of ground, as opposed to trying to exert more energy on descents where you already have gravity helping you a lot. It's like, why not just do it on the other ones where you're going uphill and you can gain a little bit more ground. I was watching one video where it talked about seconds gained over a whole span. So it's like you can gain 5 seconds over a 10-second span, or you can gain 5 seconds over a 2-minute span. So it's like, which one do you want to exert more energy on? Which one's more strategic? And I was just thinking about that, where there's probably so many different race strategies, like these pros that they actually have. It's like, okay, I'm going to attack here, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to chill here. And like, I think that's what I was thinking about a little bit, where whenever there was a hill or something like that, it's good to gain a lot of speed, and then you kind of ride into the hill so you can make it a little bit easier. And then probably, I don't know if it's right or not, but trying to exert a little bit more energy on the uphill battles so you can gain a little bit more ground there. So for my nutrition, I thought that actually went out really well. I would say I would maybe like one more bottle with maltodextrin and fructose in it. The only reason I ended up going, I think, 30 minutes longer than an actual Ironman. So I think if I was just doing the Ironman distance, it would have been perfect. But since I had the extra 30 minutes and the extra, that would have been about, I think that's about 10 miles. I think it would have been perfect if I had it for just this ride, but not the Ironman. So with what I had, I think it worked out really good. And I think it's a good plan. I don't know, I just kind of made it up on my own, and I'm thinking this is what I'm going to do for my actual Ironman. I was about an hour and a half out when I had my second actual Maurten solid bar, and then I had the Maurten gel about 30 minutes before I finished the bike ride, and then I had my second Maurten gel 20 minutes into the run. So the only difference there is for the full marathon, I'd probably have a Maurten gel every 20 to 30 minutes. And I really needed water on that run. I didn't get any water before because I was like, I kind of have to pee, but I think I can make it. So I'm not going to get any water because it's going to make me have to pee more. So I was just like, I'm just going to get right into it. But I really needed water. My mouth started getting dried out. But yeah, I thought that nutrition plan worked out really well. And it was about 93 grams of carbs per hour. So over the whole pretty much 7 hour span. So I think that was pretty decent. I could add maybe a little bit more grams of carbs in there, but honestly, I thought that worked out really good. And then moving on to my legs, like I was saying earlier, I think I might just need some rest or recovery, and I'm also just coming off that injury. I wouldn't say it was an injury, but like my quads, they were destroyed just 2-3 days ago. So I, I think that's a little bit of what I might need, is just like the rest and recovery. But for the race day, I'm going to obviously have more rest and recovery, because there's going to be more of a taper into it, where this is like a recovery week, but it's like 17 and a half hours. So it's like not much of a recovery week. So that's a little bit that I thought there. My legs were just toast. Going back out on that second loop, I was like only 3 hours in. I was like, man, my legs are so dead. So I'm assuming it's because of all the elevation gain, where when I'm riding back home, there was like no elevation gain. Whereas here, I basically did Lake Placid. I don't know if it's like the same type of elevation, where maybe Lake Placid's a lot more rolling hills, or where, because here there's like, I would say there's about 4 to 5 just massive hills where you just climb up for about 5 minutes straight, and it's just absolutely death. So I don't know how similar that is to Lake Placid, but the elevation gain was nearly identical to probably what I'm going to be experiencing in Lake Placid. So I think that's really good. And I think that's just really good practice. That's what this training program or workout says, is try to emulate the terrain as much as possible. And this is honestly perfect. This is basically exactly what I think I can expect in Lake Placid. So moving on to the last thing, last two things. I was trying to calculate where I'm at, like with my distance and everything. Is like when I hit the actual Ironman distance, I was at 5 hours and 45 minutes. Which kind of sucks, because it's like I'm not where I want to be, and where I wanted to be is like maybe low 5s. But what I was thinking, if I do that, I don't know how realistic this is off the bike, but I just need to run a sub 3 hour marathon. And then with my swim, I'm projecting around 105 to 110, which puts me around sub 10. And that's without the transitions. So I feel like either I need to go a little bit harder on the bike, or either do the exact same thing on the bike, and then I just need to absolutely destroy the run, which I don't know if I can do a sub 3 off the bike. And then going into the actual run, my pace for this, it was just 40 minutes. I got around 6 miles, and my pace for it would be sub 3. It's just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to hold that for a full marathon. I think my elevation gain for it would be fairly similar. So I had 339 feet of elevation gain, 6 miles, 6, 12, 4 times 4. I think I had a little bit more elevation gain than what I'm going to have at Lake Placid, so I think that's decent. I just don't know if I'll be able to hold that pace for another 20 miles. That just sucks to say. But if I can hold that pace for another 20 miles, that means I have potential to go sub 10 and be competing where I want to be. So honestly, I think this is a really good indication, but my bike's just not where I want it to be, unfortunately. But I've made a lot of improvements from where I started out, and I've come a long way, so I'm really happy about that. Held a decent pace on the run, decent pace on the bike. I could obviously improve the wattage there, but I think I just went off feel today, and honestly the feel, I felt quite a bit tired. So I feel like coming off the bike and going into the run, I feel really strong on the run. This was honestly the longest run I've done off the bike. So it's just, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that for 26 miles is going to be the biggest question. But honestly, this is a really good indication to see where I'm at on race day, or for when race day does come. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with the outputs. I basically did exactly what Lake Placid is going to be except for the run. The run's obviously quite a bit shorter. The bike, that was probably nearly identical to what I can expect on Lake Placid. So it was really good practice to get that in, really good insight to see exactly where I'm at. And I've definitely come a long way, so I'm happy about that. Still got, I think, 4 more weeks left. We're in a month left to Lake Placid, so this is grind time. This is when we try and turn it on. Hopefully we can improve a little bit more, but we have a good idea where we're sitting, and hopefully we'll be able to put up a decent time and be competing with those top guys, because that's ultimately the main goal. I'd love to qualify for Worlds. That was the main goal, the really big, stretch, ambitious goal that I set when I first out. When I first set out. You get what I'm saying. So hopefully I'll be able to put up, if I can do like 5:30 on the bike, or I think if I can do 5:30 on the bike, I'll be sitting pretty decent. So that's just an extra 15 minutes. Nothing, right? So yeah, that's pretty much my day. Race rehearsal, month out from Lake Placid. Really looking forward to this. Made some really good progress so far and feeling really good. So yeah, it was a good day, long day, sweaty day. Sucked about getting rained on, but hey, gotta train for all conditions, because you never know. Might get to Lake Placid and might get rained on, and everyone might not have practiced in that, and that might work to my advantage. So that was race rehearsal. That was my first actual race rehearsal too. I think I have one more before actual Lake Placid, so we'll see how we do when we do that one. But that was pretty much it. So I appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.